can I just say one thing firstly? I love the name Eat Sleep Boxing Repeat.
Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. I'm joined by Ra Hook, and we are in final prediction mode for another of the undercard fights on the Lee Wood Anthony Kakachi bill in Nottingham on May 10th. Ezra Taylor, Troy Jones, a light heavyweight contest. Undefeated against undefeated, 11-0 against 12-0. It's an interesting one, Ra, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say on this fight. So without further ado, take it away, mate. Tell me your final prediction as Ezra Taylor and Troy Jones put it all on the line on May 10th in Nottingham.
Well, that's a difficult one, actually. They've got almost identical records. Perfect time for them both to make that. Well, is it a step up for Troy? He's already English champ, but certainly for Ezra Taylor. Ezra's probably got the more impressive hype behind him, with the recent impressive knockouts. I'm a little bit biased. I do like Ezra because, he's a bit of a feisty character, wants all the smoke, says all the right things. And I know his manager personally, who's local to me, Kostakis Evangelou. Let's be honest, some of his opponents have been handpicked for him to knock out. The last guy he fought, Ryan Maycock, he's fought down at super welterweight, so he's got no business getting in with light heavyweights, especially not powerhouses. Troy, of course, not many knockouts, but he's had a couple of 10-rounders now, so I think he's solidified himself as a genuine, at least English level championship fighter. But I just think with Ezra fighting in front of his home fans, with, like I said, with a lot of the hype behind him, I can see a sort of prospect stoppage type win for him in the first half of the fight. Maybe something similar to what we saw with Whittaker and Cameron. Like, he might land a good shot and the referee will jump in for a premature stoppage after a flurry. I could see something like that happening. Troy, from what little I've seen of him, like I said, he's certainly competent and solid at that level. And I don't think it's proven that Taylor is, like I said, because of the nature of the hand-picked opponents he's had. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if Troy made it a very difficult night's work. Gets his fight plan absolutely right. Taylor is another of these late starters who's managed to get quite far because of his natural athleticism, power, that sort of thing, physical gifts. So it wouldn't surprise me if Troy can exploit some flaws in his fundamentals. But if it was to go to the scorecards, I can't see him getting one, not in Nottingham. But it wouldn't shock me if he did well. But I'm going to go with an Ezra Taylor stoppage in front of his home fans in Nottingham.
Yeah, interesting, great analysis, Ra. It was interesting. I think made quite a few good points there. You're obviously I suppose you would say the hype and Ezra Taylor is probably the well-known fighter, having got a few knockouts on TV slots and so on and so forth, being the Queensbury man. And Troy Jones, but as you mentioned, he's solidified himself as an English level fighter, at least as you mentioned. He's arguably the more seasoned that fought more live opponents, you would say. But you do look at it and you think Ezra Taylor is a big puncher. He's the favourite here. It's clear to see why he's the favourite. But yeah, it could be interesting. Troy Jones could bring out, could definitely cause Taylor a few issues. So it'll be interesting. I think I'm agreeing with you with who I'm backing here. I'm backing Ezra Taylor via stoppage. I'll maybe go somewhere in the middle of the fight. I think ultimately you don't really know what it's going to be like when Troy Jones takes a right hand on the chops, or similarly, you could say that about Ezra Taylor as well. I haven't really seen anyone lay a glove on him. So, but I just have a feeling that Taylor is above this kind of level to go on to do something. And yeah, I feel that he's a big puncher. He will land. Yeah, he's not for anyone this level, but ultimately, I think he will get Troy Jones. Maybe might have lost a round or two early on, gets himself back into the fight and gets the stoppage in the somewhere around the 5th or 6th round for me, 6th or 7th round maybe. That's the way I see it. So I am agreeing with you with Ezra Taylor, but equally, totally agree with what you said. Do not be surprised if Troy Jones gives him a few issues. Could it go the distance? Yeah, I could see a world in where it does go the distance, but like you said, I struggle unless he completely box Ezra Taylor's ears off. I struggle to see a way that Troy Jones gets the decision here, but who knows? Who knows? Just quickly before we finish, talk about Ezra Taylor as we're both backing him. How far can he go? Where do you believe his ceiling is? Obviously, early days. Difficult to call. Not fought for any kind of meaningful title yet, but where do you see his summit being?
Uh, I think he'll be probably end up as a fringe world title challenger type because, thanks to Uncle Frank's magic that he can work with the governing bodies. Um, I mean, of course, he's a veritable chasm away from the genuine world level. Um, but like I said, depending on how the politics works out in a couple of years, it might not matter, as we know in this game. At the very least, I do see him involved in a series of exceptional British level fights. Like I said, he's got a lot to say about people like Ben Whittaker, Louis Edmondson, and of course I think that's an in-house fight with Queensbury now, isn't it? Presuming he beats Troy as English champ, I think Queensbury will make that fight with Edmondson later this year. I mean, that'll be a banger, like in terms of at least the build up. So yeah, I think he'll be a pretty big name at light heavyweight in the coming years, and somewhere along the line, I expect him to be manoeuvred close to or actually for one of the alphabet titles.
Can't disagree, but I think I agree with what you've said in the sense that first and foremost, there's so many British light heavyweights, good fights there domestically that he could have. You mentioned Ben Whittaker, that would be class. Edmonton, yeah, as you said, even ones where if he is trying to push on to that next level, like your likes of your going forward, your Willie Hutchinsons, your Craig Richards of this world, kind of names like that. So yeah, very very interesting. But we shall see. First, he's got to get through Troy Jones, who is no joke. Who will be confident that he can get the win himself. Ra, thanks very much for joining me, guys. Hit the subscribe button if you're not doing so already on the ESBR Boxing channel. Follow us on socials, hit that like button, and let us know in the comments your thoughts. All the best, mate. Cheers.